Hello there, I'm Big Alias. God, Jesus Christ, it's hot. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm saying this about my country, the one I live in. But it is so friggin' hot right now. So much so that I'm wearing a bloody wife beater. Which, can I say that on YouTube? Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? But what do nerds do when it's hot and sunny outside? What do? We close the curtains and we play video games. Or, we watch Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or something, anything losery. Well, let me tell you, they self-dropped Doom 1 and 2. And it's weird because I realized a few years back, I was going to actually talk about this on the channel and I never did. I suddenly became a Doom fan. I never really cared for Doom until a few years ago, just before Eternal came out, so I think it was 2020. I just decided to go back and play a lot of them and, go through. I pretty much played every Doom game at this point, and I realized that I'm quite the fan of this series actually. It might be up there with one of my favorite FPS series of all time. Obviously Halo will always be number one. I would have said Battlefield until recently. Battlefront, if you can include that as a FPS. Call of Duty's way up and down. So yeah, I mean, Doom's up there. Might be my top 3 actually. FPS series of all time. I love the series. I love all of the games. I mean, obviously 1 and 2, obviously 2016 Eternal, but even the games that people didn't like Doom 3 or 64, I like both of those games. I know that 3 was a departure, but still a fun-ass game. So I was quite excited to find that they just stealth-dropped Doom 1 and 2, which is another new Doom collection, onto Game Pass, except there's a ton of stuff here, I will say that. It's a hefty list. You get Doom 2, TNT Evolution, the Plutonia Experiment, master levels for Doom 2, No Rest for the Living, Sigil, and Legacy of Rust. And the date for some of these, the date ranges so heavily. You've got some stuff that was made in 1994, obviously. I think it's the 30th anniversary of the series. And then that ranges all the way through to, I think one of them is 2010. One of them, I think, is maybe 2021 or 22, something like that. And there's just a lot here. You also get multiplayer. You get a deathmatch mode, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, there's a lot going on here. Have they changed that much? Well, see, the thing about this project is that it's kind of odd. I mean, we've had so many iterations of Doom already. We had obviously the original, and then some remastered stuff. We got a port on the 360 through Arcade. We got a port, I think, for Xbox One, and then we got another subsequent port when Microsoft bought Bethesda, and then we got this other port now. So it does seem odd. It's how much can you change? What can you change without changing the game itself? We're just re-releasing and re-releasing and re-releasing at this point. Well, there are a few cool bits, actually. The game already ran smoothly in the previous remaster, so that's nothing really to write home about. I can't remember whether there was an FOV slider previously, but there is now. By default, they've added a crosshair, which seems like an odd choice. It just seems weird. I mean, it's not like they've changed very much about the game at all. The missions are still the same. Level, layout, speed, pacing, everything like that is the same. So I really don't know why they added a crosshair. It's also, you can't look up and down in this game. It's wherever you point your gun, left and right, is where you'll shoot, whether it's up or down, and it will know when there's an enemy. So it kind of seems odd that there will be a crosshair, but if it helps new players, then that's great. And there's a cool new soundtrack. They've added a new soundtrack to the game, so you can switch between old and new if you want to. So you can have the classic, or you can have this new soundtrack, which I actually think is great. And I've been playing with the new soundtrack on, and I actually think it kind of enhances things a little bit more than the original, actually. But that could just be because it's something new. But it's a lot more orchestral, mixed in with the metal. And it's a great mix, and I think it's actually a very good soundtrack. So in terms of the additional content, it's stuff that I hadn't played, and this is stuff that, from what I recall, you didn't get until now with any of these sets. So I had a bit of a stroll through some of these. A lot of these are just missions that honestly you didn't get previously with the game. They're like additional add-ons and mods and what have you. I had to go on Legacy of Rust. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool. It almost felt like a Star Trek Doom crossover episode. And I love the aesthetic of the mission, actually. It was a lot of fun going through like those 90s cafes. The combination of like 90s aesthetics with genuine like 90s approach to visuals was just so cool to me. And I really, really enjoyed that. So that's great. I mean, apparently there's a total of 187 missions in this game. So there's a lot of meat on the bone. And of course, being an old game, not too much in terms of memory. Now, it does have multiplayer. I will say I tried to get into the multiplayer. It's pretty much dead on arrival because from what I can tell, I think the issue is that it's split across all of the games just a little bit too much, meaning that when you search for a multiplayer game, you know, you're competing with, you're searching through a pool of like a fraction of what it would be, if that makes sense. I don't know if the multiplayer just splits between 1 and 2, or whether it's all of the DLC as well. But actually, I think it may just be 1 and 2. So that sort of invalidates what I just said. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I guess people just aren't playing it. Well, at least they weren't when I got onto it. Kind of reminded me of the Battlefront Remastered, you know, multiplayer experience where it's like, where is everyone? What's going on? I just wanted to play this game that I never got to play online previously. Although Doom, you know, the multiplayer for Doom was always a mod anyway. It was always a single player game. So, is it good? Yes, it was always going to be good. Doom is fantastic. Doom 1's a great short game. Doom 2 is a lot longer. There's a lot more going on, and it's a fantastic experience. Really expands on it, and the double barrel shotgun is chef's kiss, and that's great. The gameplay was always going to be good, and it's hard not to like the gameplay here, unless you're like, you know, you hate old school feeling things. Then obviously then that's not going to be for you. I'm trying to say old school feeling things without feeling creepy for saying it, but it feels a little bit creepy to say that. But yeah, I mean, it's a good set. It was always going to be a good set. It's just like there's nothing overly groundbreaking here that wasn't in the previous editions. It's just a whole lot of content, which is weird because, I mean, for me, in my opinion, my summary of the game, you know, of Doom 1 and 2 is that this is a remaster for the fans. It's a remaster for people who've already played through the campaign a billion times, you know, through Doom 1 and Doom 2. It's a remaster for the people who installed Doom 1 onto their smart fridge, you know. It's for those people, for the hardcore fans, because they didn't mess with a great deal of things. They just added a couple of different ways to play and threw a bunch of additional stuff in the mix as well. So I don't really think this is an experience designed to sell Doom to new fans. I think it's just for people who are already bought into the formula, and in that sense, it's a great set. It's a great little set. But if you are to the point where you've already installed the game onto your smart fridge, then you may have already played most of this before, and many times before that. But objectively speaking, in terms of the remaster, because I can't review the games themselves, I have to review the remaster. It is a very good remaster with lots of content, and it's super cheap. I think from what I read, it's like $7.99 to buy. I got it through Game Pass. It's free to anyone who has Game Pass, which is great, other than the cost of the Game Pass. And it is a good remaster. So let's put a little score on this thing. Obviously, it's a remaster score. I'm not scoring the games. It is a good one, and it's a solid score for a solid remaster. Definitely give it a go. If you've never played Doom, give it a shot. It's a great series.
The PlayStation's only $149, and you can also get leading titles.